Okay, so I'm currently on the inside of the tack compartment. A little hard to get enough light, but you can kind of see that there's screws. The screws, first off, are holding the wire that goes up to the 3 marker lights up on the top of the blender up, and then that wire kind of runs through some brackets. So I'm going to take that off first, and then we'll see if I can get the window, the front window, out. Okay, I finally got this to pop out, and so for those of you that were curious about this, I thought I'd show you how it's put together. I had put a lot of silicone on the edges at different points, and that has taken me probably a good long couple of afternoons to clean it off. So, and then I also, while I was up here on the big ladder, I took the marker lights off up here and got all the goop behind those cleaned off so that they'll be ready to put the new ones on. But while I had this finally popped out, it took quite a bit. It was in there pretty good, except on the edges. You could see daylight coming in around the edges. And before I show you what the inside is like, I thought I would show you there's a ring that goes on the back. I'll describe it as a ring or a bracket. And you can see here where there's the screw holes that attach it to the other side, and that is what keeps the window in. So I just thought I would show you all that and how it goes together. And here is what it looks like on the inside. Here is the, I'm going to call it a trim ring for lack of other descriptions. And I'm not going to get this job done this weekend, so I'm going to reattach the screws in for right now so the window doesn't fall out on the ground. And it actually stayed in pretty good here on the bottom. I wasn't able to really yank this off. I may next weekend though. Kind of playing it safe so I can get it back together, and I will follow up and let you guys know what happens. Okay, I got the window out this morning, and this is the top. You can see the blender up images in there. And there was some type of little gasket material, really thin, on the inside. Once again, I finally ended up taking all the screws out. Then I very gently pried all around it, carefully taking it out. And now I have it on a table. So I'm going to clean up all of this, clean up anything I didn't get to on the trailer itself. And then I'm going to apply butyl putty to it and reinstall it and hope for the best. Okay, so you can see that's what it looks like without the window on it. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to go back and clean up anything that I couldn't get to before. But the holes for the screws don't actually go through the fiberglass. It's just the sandwich kind of motion between that inside frame, which is now right here, and the outside, and that's kind of how that goes together. Okay, so I'm cleaning up the window surface so that it'll be nice and clean to reinstall the window. And it's clean because you want to have a good connection between the butyl and the skin of the trailer. And if you were like me and made the mistake of putting silicone around the window over the years, I've gotten most of it off, but you can still see some remnants here. I'll tell you what has worked pretty well for me. Very carefully used a razor blade scraper to get up under stuff. And also I go back with my hand to see if I can feel that silicone. There's just layers and layers of it. And the problem with silicone is nothing sticks to silicone. So if you don't get rid of all of it, then your seal's not going to be very good. Another thing that's helpful is these scrubby sponges with a little bit of mineral spirits and the scrubby side. It will take off quite a bit of gook too. So those are some tips. Okay, so I brought the window inside because it's really hot and sunny outside today. And that's the original gasket. It looks like it was some kind of foam that sticks on, so I'm going around the edge and removing that. I have been using a heat gun, but very carefully, just on the light setting, because the window is plastic. You don't want to overheat that, so if you do use a heat gun to get anything off, you do want to be mindful that you don't want to mess up your plastic window. We're moving right along. Okay, this is the front side of the window. I've been in here working on this quite a while. The reverse side back here, I've cleaned that really well, so I'm getting ready to put the butyl putty on that. I had already pulled this, I'm going to call it a glazing bead, off of it last week. I did a really good cleaning job on it, which involved, first I soaked it in vinegar and water for a while. Did my best to clean all the, it was kind of like calcification on it. Then I removed any silicone. I put a bead of silicone here on it, which of course stuck all to it. I was able to put it in warm water in a bucket and get most of that off. And then I went over it with a product called 303 Protectant. And it actually came out really good. It seems like it soaked that stuff in. And we'll see if this still works or not, but I can't find any, I guess you'd call it a glazing bead that looks quite like this one. And I guess ultimately I may have to come back and just use like a liquid or putty type glazing product maybe to seal it, but I figured it was worth a try to see if we can still get this to work. Okay, and this is the inside frame. I thought I'd kind of clean it off. This is the only marking I've seen, and that's either a 16 5/8 or it could be a 46 5/8 by 15 3/4. So I'm guessing maybe they just put these together for each trailer. It may not have been a factory built window. So that's getting ready to put it together. And this is the product I'm going to seal the window with. And this is butyl putty tape, and it's the kind that is supposed to remain flexible. This product is 1/8 inch thick by 1 inch wide, and it came from Vintage Trailer Supply. This roll was $7.84 plus shipping and tax, so not a terribly expensive thing. If you buy the butyl putty tape at an RV place, that stuff usually turns hard, and so I bought this hoping that it will stay flexible, which is supposed to do a better job for you over time, and we shall find out. Okay, I thought I'd show you what I ended up doing. Originally, from things I'd looked at on YouTube, I thought the way to go was to put the butyl tape on the back of the frame in here, laid it out on the table inside, put the butyl on the back. Then when I tried to install it, I couldn't get it in with it. It was just sticking to the fiberglass, and it was just a huge mess. So I had to take it off. And I took it back into the table, cleaned all the butyl off, and this is what I ended up doing. I tightened a couple of screws up at the top to hold the window in place so that I didn't want to drop the window, obviously. Then I kind of pried the bottom out just enough to slip the tape up underneath, and I did that all across the bottom. Then I went back inside and I attached the screws that are on the inside bottom to hold the bottom down. And then I basically pried the top, which also brought out the sides just enough to get the butyl tape around the edges and the top, which is obviously the most likely water intrusion point. And it was a little bit of a fight to get the window back in, but I did get it all in. It's all screwed in. What basically happens is the butyl putty will get pushed out as you tighten down the screws. I would be careful not to over tighten anything, because you might crack something that you can't replace. Also, over there you can see a light gray spot. This piece of trim here, the rubber gasket, had shortened up from age, so I basically put a little piece of butyl in that gap where it had shrunk. And I also I put all new lights on this trailer. So when I installed the new lights, I also went ahead and I put a gasket, basically put butyl all over the back, installed them, and then trimmed them with a razor. And I'm going to also razor off all these sloppy edges now. But the water can definitely get in behind these. There's 3 holes. The original ones had no caulking or anything behind them. And so now hopefully that will keep the water out of coming in from behind the lights and also in behind the window frame.